have our macabre compatriot back on Twitch after
Yeah, he's right in
bit
the
of
saddle
a bit of
again.
a forced technical hiatus.
After a fiasco.
A fiasco.
Yes.
Yes.
Twitch and their
And
2FA and their
Too much.
the Twitch and the 2FA and it not being really good because definitely doesn't strike up to industry standard at all. But you know.
So yes, you were learning about the history as the power couple of Tuwu, and then they were called Tuwu Mba, were the former very beloved king and queen and their extended family, as it has a kind of a matriarchal bend to the society that you've been figuring out. But that the sisters of the queen were Idni, who is the littlest sister, often called Silent S, just because she tended to be shy, and that was sort of what she was known for. So Idni, the Silent S. You had Adela, Melba, Alis, and they were the Tamworth family. So tragedy had befallen, heavily suspected that Shadahar had used this as a power play against the dwarves, and thus there was an expansion of the countryside to act as scouts and suppliers, and a way for them to learn overland tactics, which is where, the Shadahar have existed above ground for as far as anyone knows their existence, and the dwarves only knew what it was like to be underground. So this is sort of a occupation of their own lands, getting to know it, getting to farm it, and acting as an initial bulwark, especially with the king out in the countryside. There is a leader out here, someone who is considered a strong leader. So if something were to happen or there needs to be external negotiations, the Shadahar could talk to the king here, so they don't necessarily have to go to the mountain. Let's see. So you got the family history. You got some broader history. Now, specifically, the countryside, the rolling hills countryside, is the Queensland, which is the plural possessive Queensland, named after the expansion because the queen and her sisters were kidnapped. But the entirety of the place, technically, though more singularly the grand mountain under which the dwarves had originally lived, is known as El Artsua. And that is where Mordecai, you had learned that Windar, who is the pilot of this unique airship, actually hails from, and he had a different accent than the country dwarves did, as you were kind of piecing together, so he's a city dwarf, he's from the mountain. And he was there to drop off empty crates, empty milk canisters, etc., and pick up full ones to take back to the mountain. Let's see. You learned that the tieflings were called eatlins. Eatlings, but eatlins. Simply because, as dwarven folklore has it, tieflings became monsters because they ate dragons. Everyone who's a dwarf knows the story, and there's that. So enjoy being, I guess, cannibals of a sort. Let's see. Yep, that's that was the broad summary of things. You have been gathered now in the town hall. If you have any particular questions, you're going to have some time because you're going to be sitting in a cart, being taken out to wherever the king is, and you can go from there. There were specifics in conversation. Well, Fluffy. Well, how far
That is
removed
true,
are
that is-
tieflings from dragons?
I mean that is just true though. It's not cannibalism unless it's the exact same species. by clinical definition, the best kind of definition. Something that Bright and Celine would be able to agree on. The clinical definition of cannibalism.
And
We've read books.
I'm sorry. Bright was talking with a farmer who was working to invent a milking machine based off the wind power of the local turbine here. And she had an interesting conversation about, well, do you really need this technology, et cetera, et cetera? And it was an interesting perspective to put onto things. And we learned that when she manifested, technically it should have been her mage hand at first, was an interesting clue because it would have looked different. It would have had sort of a metallic sheen to it, like a floating gauntlet. And then she summoned her unseen servant. And the unseen servant, despite being unseen, actually appeared. And it appeared as Professor Cypher. And Cypher was doing the bidding. I mean, Cypher wasn't, but the image of Cypher, who was sort of embedded onto the unseen servant, and by proxy also the mage hand, was describing to Bright that when she had produced her familiar on the Repentless, he impressed himself onto the familiar as a way to be able to communicate, because they're really trying to keep a low profile with the ship. And this would allow for Cypherius to at least be able to talk to Bright. Bright was like, that's cool. I need you to pick up cow poop and make a big pile of it. And so Bright had Professor Cypher scooping up by hand as an unseen servant cow patties and make a big pile of manure out of them. And the professor was taken aback, saying several times this is highly unorthodox. But there's nothing you could do.
Highly unorthodox.
Because you're an image writing on the spell. It's more just a projection of you, of the professor. So, as a note for you, Lethality, Cypher is technically present, but he can only manifest if Bright gives him a manifestation of some kind. Through a mage hand, an unseen servant, maybe other spells that hasn't been played with yet. But you've kind of
major image.
Yeah, you're like the emergency medical hologram kind of a thing. Like she can she can like bring you up to talk and communicate. But it's not like a psychic link or anything. So it like you're there, but you can't do it yourself. Like you need to be conjured into existence in some way.
Yeah, you need to be called upon.
But for either note taking or if I need to speak through Cypher to the party, as a in/out of character note, Cypher is technically with you all. But as far as the dwarves know, it's just a very complainy unseen servant. So,
very complainy, very seen servant.
Yeah. And so Lethality, if you're wondering about the very hastily made meme in our chat, that's exactly why that exists. So all of you, I guess now I'll technically 5.5. We'll say 5.5 of you had gathered in the town hall. And Selena, you had gone to the graveyard. We were getting towards the end of the session. It was a bit hand wavy of, yes, you had learned things because there was an old lady in the graveyard you got to talk to who could translate Dwarven for you because everything here was written in Dwarven. And you got the sense that even the expansion into the countryside is really old. Just reinforcing, which also is reinforced with Mordecai on the airship, that there's definitely something, there's a strange aura or presence about Mesotopia that just makes people not care or forget, or kind of it's not an active apathy, because obviously there's a society, there's trade, there's cities, but there's just kind of a cultural amnesia that takes place, where there's really just like, yeah, we all sort of exist in this window, and as the window continues to pass, anything that falls out the window is just kind of like, yeah, like, we don't really question it because no one ever thinks to. But you did get to see.
I bet it's Shadahar. I bet it's Shadahar causing that.
No, I think it's Wajas.
You did get to see some dwarven architecture, especially when it comes to graves. Celine, in particular, you would have been reminded the way that these are structured are almost like little towers and such, where there's a lot of names. It's almost like there's family plots. And you were reminded of when you had seen the names just scrawled on the walls in the tower that you were in that led to the lab when you had breached the central like hell tower. So
that was Cypher at that point.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry, Cypher. But
I'm sure Mordecai would have made a note of it. In the journal
you were bringing the facts back, so yes, that's
too.
But yeah, you had seen some cultural links. You had just picked up that these people are very old, and the things that you're learning is, I mean, stories might change over time, even if it's oral tradition. But there's a lot of things here, even in this newer expansion of the primary dwarven residence and place where they had lived, but that these people are very old. That they are very. They're also very much in touch with the land, but they do not consider the land a deity, as maybe you and or Mordecai are. It's just it's a very agnostic approach. Like, yeah, there's the land. It grows vegetables. Like, what do you want? Like,
the nomadic tieflings kind of revere it in a way.
Yeah, the six landlord tieflings are seeing it more like a faith, a religion. They're putting, well, kind of literal faces on the land as well. And the dwarves here just have a very practical sense of, yeah, we're in tune with it. Like, we need it. In a sense, it needs us. It's harmonious, but they don't necessarily revere it in a religious capacity. Celine, you also would have noted that maybe with some rare exception, there is very little to no Weejas. And in fact, she's not mentioned by name here. It's kind of a,
taboo.
Yeah, it's a taboo. People are obviously aware of her, but they do not want to invoke her name or anything more than she who shall not be named, or just refer to like Lady Death or something like. You're never getting the name.
Good.
The exception
Very good.
that you would have found though is in the graveyard. There is a place where there are soldiers that are buried that would have been from Shadahar during a fight long ago. And their gravestones haven't been dug up, and so while they are Shadahar soldiers, they also, they're kind of overgrown, a lot of lichens and moss and things that have grown on them.
They're less cared for,
but they haven't been desecrated. They haven't been broken. So the dead, despite them being enemies, are still there. And the dwarves, despite Weejas being a taboo, have not chipped away at the skull or the various faces or the references from the dead soldiers. So there is that.
Well, I mean, it does. It's kind of like there being there's wiggle room to not be an asshole to the dead. But in the same breath, you don't necessarily need to care for their religion and their things either. And as such, they have been laid to rest. Their things have been set up. Don't destroy them, but don't really feel a need to take care of them either.
Yes. Yeah, they're just letting, well, kind of in a sense, letting nature take its course. Like, yeah. they have shown where, but just
let it be, and it's all natural wear.
Yep.
So.
So anyway, you would have learned these aspects, which are adding a bit to the culture of the dwarves of Brisbane out here. And for you, Dark Wolf playing Norlai and Loki at the school, I think I primarily said that you would have learned more about the direct like school book history of the king and the queen, of the abduction and the murder, that sort of a thing. You would have had a bunch of kids calling you Eatlins, and you would have further confirmed the folklore and the tales about that. You would have had a lot of questions asked about you. Like, do you still eat dragons? No, they're all dead. Oh yeah, it's because they ate them. And Norlai also would have picked up that the dwarves don't really have a bad opinion about dragons. They also treat them and the giants like in a weird sense of somewhere between folklore and history, where they all accept that at some point in time they existed. They accept that they don't any longer, but how that came to be is kind of that's kind of vague, or it has different origins. So, but they very actively are treating the giants and the dragons like, oh yeah, we were totally cool with them, like we were buddy buddy. The dwarves, the dragons, and the giants, like inseparable. We were their chosen, so on and so forth. A lot of bragging rights. Nothing that approaches religious fervor or zealotry, but just sort of ancient claims and ties, or even a birthright, like we that we were created by them, that we were we are their children, we are the inheritors of the land and things like that. So a lot of different takes on a tale that might seem vaguely familiar from what was experienced down beneath the city and past the catacombs. Anyway, so yes, you're in the town hall. You have gathered. You had time to compare notes, and anything that you all want to do as the group before you are actively tended to by an NPC or several.
Check.
Hey,
check,
there
check,
we
check.
go.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Check. Meh.
There's a bright
We have a bright.
sheet.
Yeah. The casting time on the headset fix spell was supposed to be 3 days, but it turned out it was 2.5.
Oh, all right then.
Ooh.
It was
Good.
supposed to come tomorrow, but it came today instead.
Yay.
And as
Yeah.
such, we have fluffy advice.
Half an hour ago. Yeah, it's okay. But I probably won't be on video because I didn't prepare.
That's fine. I'll take a disembodied voice over no voice. All right. Well, hail, the gang's all here. Anything you want to do, not necessarily in private. I mean, as far as you know, you're alone here, but is there anything you would like to do as a group before you are put into a cart and taken out to see King Victor?
Anything else just before seeing King Victor?
Aside from kind of going over what we had learned from all of these people, and just kind of corroborating all of their stories together and learning what we've learned as a group.
I feel like Norlai would flex a little and tell you about proper etiquette, because she herself has been around the higher ups as of late.
Proper etiquette in regards to what, Norlai?
Oh, when you're meeting people of higher rank, you gotta be very respectful.
I mean, the highest ranking political official I've ever met was the mayor of Oldport.
Yeah. So you've met the mayor. You know how to act around the mayor. This is a king, so like the respect you would show the mayor times like 50.
Right.
I think
Everybody
the,
kind of-
I think the
everybody
level
kind
of
of
respect
knows-
should be set by the ruling authority, because I mean, if he asks for dispensing with the formalities, I'm dispensing with the formalities.
So this is new. Usually respect for authorities is not really your thing.
Yeah,
You're not gonna slander me.
Bryce kind of
I
just
mean,
throwing it out in the
conversation.
ether.
To be fair, Norlight, everybody knows that when, you know, the Cabal has their, like, I don't know, gatherings or whatever, that people treat them with the respect. I mean, they wear
If
those
you see
special
them.
masks they wear the special masks for a reason,
If you see them.
if you see them. That's why they wear
Oh,
special
yeah.
masks.
Oh no, I'm talking
okay.
about like
Act like you
physically
were
if you
meeting
see
with
them
the
at all.
cabal. Because, you know, a king and a cabal, that's about the same rank. So,
Yeah.
imagine you're
I
meeting
figured
with the
as much.
cabal.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure either of them would agree with that statement.
Well,
Hey, I mean,
Mesotopia
rolling-
doesn't really have a kingship.
Yeah.
It's a council of
Flower,
sorts. They just
flower
choose to
fairly
remain
got close.
anonymous.
Flower fairly got close. Remember him?
I
Yeah.
remember him.
Yeah, we all remember him, except for maybe Noralai. She wasn't around at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
I
was.
met him.
Oh, was she?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
I'm talking about like when it was Bright, Celine, Mordecai, Jade, and Tazray.
No, Tazray
Oh wait, no,
wasn't there.
sorry, it's just after
Tazray
Tazray.
didn't make it that far.
Yeah, just
No,
after Tazray.
rip.
They'd gone to Bradwheat first, found Noralai, and then went to Sanam Phi.
Oh, I was at the flower fields. When were you at the flower fields?
A long time ago now. Several years.
Yeah. Putting it that way,
Because we had Jade. We had Jade with us back then. And I accidentally, under the effects of the flowers there, accidentally turned her into a unicorn.
I
Oh,
remember
that-
you turning into a unicorn. Yeah.
I remember that. That was a cluster and a half.
Oh, it's great.
Everything
so
to do
long.
with those flowers was a cluster and a half, and I would
So
I would
long
beg
ago
you
now,
not
but
to
also
remind me of it.
seems so long ago, but also so short
Right.
a period of time.
Also, we might end up going back there for some flowers. So, yeah, let's just hold that thought.
Yeah. We still haven't found Tippa.
Mm-mm.
I mean, you guys kind of gave up looking.
Well, I mean, we had other problems.
We had no leads.
Again, we had other problems, like like
Flesh trees.
Mercury.
And Mercury.
And-
Lost Jade and
Or Lance.
Yes, I'm aware. I was there.
And what else? No. That time you guys went to hell.
Mhm. we went
And
to hell and encountered Mercury. Hmm
cipher things. Yeah, those were a thing, right? And the Shadahar are being lost in the desert.
We have been through a lot together, haven't we?
Oh yeah, and Noralai got turned into a sack of bones. And we fought a dragon.
I got new tattoos for going to hell.
Mm.
And
Well,
the
maybe tattoos.
Casimir things.
Casimir things, yeah.
And, no, what else? Everything's slowly dying.
Celine, I know you're new to all this, but you gotta calm down. You're panicking a little.
Oh no, this is no panic. This is just the realization of the fact.
We've been together for a while now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys have been together for a while, but I know she's new to this whole adventuring thing.
No, she's been with us this whole time, Norlai.
Really?
What are you talking about?
She's been with us this entire time.
Oh, right.
No, she hasn't.
No, I can definitely say rather patently that I had. Oh.
I met you and Bright
Mordecai.
at Red.
Remember our little encounter.
The drunk on magic.
After that, when we had to go in and how that resulted the last time when we escaped.
Right.
Wink.
Yeah.
Except it probably wasn't something physical this time.
In any case, Celine, don't worry about it. We are professional adventurers at this point. We'll take care of you.
As am I. I think you forget, even before all of this, I used to live on my own in the dragon graveyard.
Oh, did you? Interesting.
Yes. We've been to my house.
No, I don't remember going to your house. I would remember something like that.
No, you wouldn't. And I think I know why. No, you wouldn't, and I think I know why.
I mean, you'd think I would remember, the wife of my brother, but, Especially if we visited her house, but no, we definitely didn't visit your house.
We could rather patently we did. We got attacked by Fae. And you saved your brother.
That wasn't at your house, that was a spider cave.
Yes, which is at the back of my house.
You lived in a spider cave?
No, the spiders moved in afterwards.
So you lived in a cave?
I lived in a house that was sheltered in a cave.
So you lived in a cave?
Semantics,
but I suppose in essence, yes?
It's a semantic argument.
In any case, you're really not in the position to be making semantic arguments, Norlai.
What do you mean?
We clearly remember these things, and you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have good memory. I don't know what you guys do. You guys are trying to trick me.
Why would we do that?
She's lost that, though. What is it that you and I have lost?
Well, remember, when we left, I was missing a leg. You were missing your tail.
Right, that was the first time.
Well, maybe we didn't.
What if we have?
Well, maybe we didn't lose anything this time, because that was her first time. This is our second. Maybe we were inured to it somehow. Maybe our faith protected us.
Maybe.
Because remember, that's how we got our bits back in the first place.
Yeah.
So,
thankfully. Thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Norlai, do you have any idea what it's like to try and balance without a tail? It's horrible.
This one time I was playing this game with some friends, and they're like, "Hey, try wrapping your tail around your leg and see if you can balance." It's really difficult.
It is really difficult, right?
Yeah.
I understand that everyone's different, but I don't think that I could actually function without mine. I need it for to remain not being a klutz.
I mean, it's really
Like, I
useful
have
for
two
sneaking
left,
because
I don't have it, and I've actually experienced this.
I mean, you could always try growing some floofs and using them as a counterbalance instead. Also, they're higher in the center of gravity, so they work better.
I mean, I have floofy hair, just not
but you
long
don't have-
floofy hair.
You don't have.
Well, if you grow it out, you can braid it, and then that'll help you with the balance. I know this one guy who did that.
Now that
because,
my hair
he had a
actually
Galvin
grows
braid.
again, I don't know. I've never tried a braid. I don't know how to braid.
Oh, braiding's easy. I can braid your hair for you.
I think
You just separate it into 3 parts, and then you just alternate sides.
There's
It's really easy.
Ooh, the door opens. Braiding hair? Oh, you don't know how?
No.
Oh, we could sit down and teach you. Everyone out here knows. Anyway, Arvo to you. Had to stop at get some supplies for a journey at the Bottle-O, and I think we're about ready. If you are. It is Galvin Canberra, which, as you learned, was kind of a corrupted pronunciation over time of Crown Bearer.
Yeah, okay.
I'm
ready to go when you are.
Right, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't walk in a private conversation, did I?
No, not at all.
No.
We're just talking about braids.
Celine does pop open the journal though and writes in. Writes in. This is the it's gonna actually be something rather pointed. It's going to be, I know what you took from her.
Oh.
But also, you'll see in the book that there are pictures of Celine with her hair braided. That Mordecai's drawn.
Yeah.
And Celine, you remember he's braided your hair before.
Celine does look at it. She stops.
What?
Mordecai, you said you didn't know how to braid hair.
No, I don't.
She lifts she tears the journals so that the pictures are visible and points at them. I think I know what she took.
Did you draw those?
No. You drew those.
Oh. Yeah, your drawings are so much better than mine.
To be fair, I've had a lot of practice. And Celine also notes down, I know what you took from him.
Right, well, sun ain't getting any higher in the sky. We need to load up and get going as, we're already going to be pushing through the night.
Yes.
Then let's get to it.
Yes, let us go.
All right, as you leave the town hall, you see that there's a cart. It is being pulled by 2 donkeys, and there are various bags of supplies that are a lot more than just for you all, presumably, unless this is a lot longer journey than what he's telling you. You're seeing crates and sacks of things, not like an entire caravan, but this is a big wagon and it's filled with a lot of supplies. He refers to it being chalkers, whatever chalkers is, and
Chockers, chock-a-block.
Right. Well, make a seat for yourself somewhere. I won't be too picky. But we need to hop in and go.
Understood. And it's gonna find herself somewhere to sit.
Okay. Yeah, you can nestle in somewhere among the sacks of grain, the various canisters. There's some crates, big and small.
A grain bag should be a bean bag.
Yep. You can make a little beanbag chair, a little nest out of them. Right, away. And with a giddy up, the donkeys begin pulling the cart through the countryside. Let me make sure. No, that's not it. I have a thing. Ah, not that. There we go. So, get this just right. So, the countryside awaits as you leave Brisbane, and you are experiencing the fresh air. Now, Mordecai, you got it from the bird's eye view. But here for the rest of you, it's really nice. You actually just get to sit back. You don't have to walk anywhere. You really don't have to do anything. This is not strenuous at all. And you are welcome to talk amongst yourselves. Now, you do have Galvin here, who is happy to be a tour guide. He can explain things along the way. You do find he has a proclivity to sing songs. He knows a lot of really nice songs, at least the sound of them, though most of it is in Dwarven. Though there are some things that he might pause and look back and kind of give you the gist about what the topic is, but he tells you that these are rather traditional traveling and working songs, songs about craft, songs about family, and so you kind of have to us it would be like a radio. Because some of the cadences of the songs sound similar, but really, there's a song for about everything, and he seemingly has no end of things to talk about or to sing about. Now, as you are traveling, there's plants and some animals that you've never seen before. The countryside is, a lot of rolling hills. It is very hilly. It is summertime, so it is warm, but it is getting cooler now that the sun is beginning to set. And of course, the shadows are even longer towards sunset here where the hills are rising up to block out more of the sun more quickly. During your overland travel, is there anything you'd like to bring up with him present or amongst each other? Like, if not directed to him, to just question, ask about, seek clarification on, since we're doing some exploring around town. But you can sit back and listen to the radio while he drives, or you can talk to him, or you can sit in awkward silence. I won't prevent you from doing that either.
I mean, awkward silence is always a lot of fun. What's a radio?
Exactly.
And why did video kill it? And what's video? Selena's kind of just Selena's just kind of sitting here considering everything now.
Okay. Not brooding, but considering.
Contemplating, ruminating, if you will.
Okay.
Isn't it interesting that you've all forgotten things as a result of near or possibly greater than death experiences? Isn't that interesting? And isn't it
Talking about it, I
interesting
haven't
that
forgotten anything.
Of course you haven't. I would pat you on the head, but you're much taller than me. So isn't it also interesting that the place where Huijas is worshipped, who's the one who can send you back, is also the place where everybody forgets things? I think that's too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence.
I think you're exactly right, right?
Okay. Well, somebody write that down so you don't forget it.
I was having trouble following that statement. Sorry, what?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's she who shall not be named is the reason why Mesotopia as a whole has a cultural amnesia regarding the way that things are. Why, despite the fact that they're facing their imminent deaths, that they're not willing to do anything about it.
And remember what we've learned? As long as you're remembered, you're not really dead. So she needs you to be forgotten too. I don't really know why, but she must.
Or at least there has to be an apathy of some kind.
Forget.
Well, that's probably one portion of it, and that kind of maybe leads to like the final passing of a person, but like Norlai was basically in her hand, and we had to pull her back, like physically. In a sense, I guess. She was that close. I don't know if that's something that you all were starting to forget about her.
Well, no,
I don't know what.
Forgetting about her. I just wasn't involved in the actual bringing back part very much.
No, that was Mordecai and I, and that is why. Well, Mordecai doesn't remember how to braid hair, and Norlai doesn't remember me at all.
I mean, that is kind of weird. I think that she would, but hey,
I think it's a matter of readjusting memories.
I mean, I can understand forgetting how to braid hair because you've got to go left over center and then right over left, and it's a whole big thing. I mean, I can understand that, but what if? I mean, just forgetting like a whole person, that's more unusual.
Well, I mean, this is we just were talking about. This is the realm of the unusual.
I also think she was trying to make me forget about you in hell. I think it was her.
That would be an
her rating as Corinna. In hell, and essentially cast a spell on me to get rid of my memories for you.
Are you sure that might have been her?
Well,
we've kind of proven rather patently that she's not very nice. Whoa, why do you think I changed who I worshipped?
I mean, I appreciate that. It's just.
I mean, I pointed out that she was probably evil, like way back in the cave where we saw the moving pictures, but no one believed me then.
That was just before we found out. Like literally just before we found out, so that's not really a major revelation, Norlai.
But
I told you guys. And then Mordecai's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go into her realm," and then disappeared for a few months.
Well, we both did. But Celine,
now, I just remember you
didn't go to her.
Not the first time, no. Not after I was rather brutally murdered.
Yeah.
Look, I'm pretty sure with the exception of Bright, we've all died here at least once. There's no point in being coy about it anymore.
You should all be more careful. Most of the time it's not so easy to come back from being dead.
It's true.
Well, it wasn't easy to bring Norlai back from being dead.
But I...
It's not like I'm seeking my own
I don't
death
even know how I died.
Overload of magic.
I was talking... Well, like, I was talking with Mordecai, and then I called Loki to come pick me up, because I don't like metaphors, and then... I died?
There's a bit that happened in that
In between
time
those
span.
spaces,
You were very drunk on magic, overloaded with magic.
I don't know how I got drunk. I wasn't drinking it.
Look, it just happened. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, wait, what are you a doctor of?
I mean, technically, I'm more a surgeon, but I've done.
Oh, you're a surgeon. That's cool. Do you have like do you have like an office, or where do you practice?
Well, I mean, I would have, but it got destroyed.
Norlight, you blurted out at the meeting with all of the family members that why Celine wasn't a doctor anymore. You knew that.
Did I?
She answered you.
Oh.
I mean, yes. Technically, I did get a.
I did say that. Weird. I don't know why I would say that.
Because I think somewhere deep down you remember everything, but it's being suppressed or it's damaged thanks to your encounter with Lady Death.
Huh.
In other words, this is all her fault.
Yeah.
That's weird.
She's actively working to try and make the world forget about everything so that she can gobble it all up for all we know. She doesn't like Shadahar because maybe her food supply, whatever, souls are to her, her food supply is being diverted. Power is being diverted.
No, I would say food supply. And you want to know why? Because I think she's the most extreme example of what myself, Regal, and Raphael are. Well, Raphael was. And what Regal and I are.
Are we sure that Raphael's not going to come back?
Yes.
I don't know that I'm convinced.
Oh, he may come back eventually, but you did banish him.
Right, yeah.
I remember that. Googly, but I remember it. I also remember the professor kind of, doing something that obliterated half of that courtyard.
Yeah. I don't think the city officials were very happy about that.
They were under an undead invasion, and I called it earthquakes. I'm sure they have bigger problems to worry about.
Yeah, like adventurers causing earthquakes.
Wait. You caused earthquakes in Oldport?
Yes, it was a necessary thing.
That doesn't sound necessary. I have an orphanage in Oldport. You should be
It was very necessary. It was also before the orphanage.
That's the whole reason we started the orphanarium, was because of this. How do you not remember this?
Well, no, we started the orphanarium because, we met that poor kid that, didn't have any family, and then after Mordecai disappeared and we had all that money, it's kind of been a dream of mine to start something like that, especially since me and Loki, didn't have parents growing up. So I decided to take the money that we had and do that.
Lynched by gods, right?
That's all true, but why didn't they have a family?
Why didn't you have a family?
Fairy and Sully?
Well, they had a brother.
Mercury, I think.
Brother died. Yeah, Mercury was likely involved. But they didn't have parents at first, anyways, because they were taken in by Mr. Halvard, and then Mercury got involved in.
What?
And,
Mr. Halvard wasn't involved in this one.
He was.
He was looking after the kids before he disappeared, and then Mercury got involved and took them under her wing.
Okay, but even so, that's not the point. The point is that this all happened right after the earthquake that Celine caused.
Yes, to kill lots and lots and lots of the undead.
I mean, earthquakes and zombie apocalypses do tend to go together.
Weirdly enough.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a zombie apocalypse.
Did you
was
see
pretty
how
bad,
we
it
did
was.
that was pretty
There were
apocalyptic.
a lot. Yeah, there were a lot because there's a bounty of, corpses underneath the city.
Look, Mordecai, I've been a cleric for a very long time. I know a thing or two about apocalypses, okay?
I've read books.
I've seen even more apocalypses than I've caused.
Well, yes, you did spend all that time in hell, like, what? Several millennia, right?
Yeah, it was about. I mean, it was at least a couple of months.
At least.
At least.
A couple of days?
I think it was probably
Felt
more
like a
than
couple
days.
of days for me.
As I think about it, I'm like, there's.
I mean,
one
I don't
day,
know. I never went.
And there's another day, and there's another day, and there's another day, and there's another day, and there's another day.
Time down there's
there's
wibbly
another
wobbly,
day,
guys.
There's another day. There's another day. There's another day.
Right.
There's another day. There's
He
another
kind of
day,
thunks her on the
there's
head.
another day. Oh, sorry. I was going through the days one at a time, and I somehow got stuck in a loop.
Yes, you did. This is why I had to jar you out of it. Yes. Time is wonky down there, to say the least.
It was like a day or two for Casimir.
Well,
It only felt like a couple of days to me, but I guess everybody's perspective was different.
As you're
Then
talking,
Casimir went crazy and turned into a dragon.
Yeah, he did.
As you're talking, Loki, very kind of like he's been just kicking back. This is a lazy ride for him. He yawns, and he stretches forward to just like bend to touch his toes, like fingers to toes, like just almost like a fold in half kind of a thing. As he does, there's a and an arrow lodges into the crate he was leaning against, where now he just sort of like comes back up. What the?
huh? An arrow? Are we under attack?
Yes, mage armor.
Sure, I cast mage armor.
Um,
I do. I think I actually already have mage armor. I'm not sure if we've had a day or not, but if we haven't, I cast mage armor.
Yeah, this is basically a new day, so.
well, this is the evening of the day you woke up in the morning. It's
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, alright, I still have mage armor then.
All right, Bright, your mage armor is up. What is your current AC?
18.
18. Okay. So this is going to be.
I'm casting Sanctuary.
All right. Well, let me finish surprising y'all first. All right, Bright, you take 11 points of piercing damage as small arrows, a hail of small arrows pepper the wagon, and you are struck by 2 of them.
Ow.
So.
Years ago, that could have killed me.
in this moment, Galvin turns back around, looks, and he shouts, "Bogan attack!" And we are in an initiative.
We are in initiative, are we? Initiative. I see.
Initiative. I am on top of things, apparently.
Mordecai with the Clark initiative!
Yeah, buddy.
All right, well, it's a good thing I got the surprise on y'all.
Second initiative is for Loki.
Galvin certainly he yells that you're all under attack by bogans, which are, well, as you had learned, goblins. And of course, what are goblins? Because you haven't really heard. They are definitely not in the area of Mesotopia. They seem to be more of a northern problem. But jumping out of the bushes here, as you're in the outback of Queensland, is at least half a dozen visible bogans who have pointy sticks, both clutched in their hands, and smaller pointy sticks held in rather more primitive-looking bows. They don't seem to have anything that is really formal as far as arms and armor go. They are dressed. Calling them dressed is a very generous term. But you do see these small humanoid-looking creatures that have popped out, and they are yelling and yelling something, whether or not it's a language or just like scary noises to ambush you. So Norlai, was that your role as the 23, and Loki is on a 16?
Yes.
Okay. And I have to roll for
Godly Goose.
no, I already rolled for them. Galvin is going on a 16. However, NPCs go after PCs do, so Loki will get to go 16 plus. So here we go. We have Norlai, Loki. Oh, so there we go. Then it is going to be Galvin. Then we have Celine, Bright, Mordecai, and then the Bogans.
How far away are they? How far away are they? And so they're visible, but how far away are they?
There's 6 of them that are visible, and they're about 50 feet away from you.
Oh, perfect. Let's see. I'm gonna call lightning. Centered about 60 feet away from the party. So it'll hit them and anything within 60 feet of them. But not us.
Okay. Within 5 feet of the point. Okay. So that is going to be.
I am not casting wild magic on it. 20.
Oh yeah, you definitely are not.
You can if you want to, but
that's why I rolled.
It's not going to slip out in this case. It looks like only one of the 6 is able to jump out of the way of your lightning.
Still taking half.
Still taking half.
14 points of damage. Okay. So you stand up, you point in their direction, and lightning strikes in the middle of the group?
It'd be more like I just raise my hand dramatically. Clouds form suddenly and strike down on any in its path.
Okay.
So if there's more than 6 of them in that area, by the way, they would also take that damage.
Well, there's 6 that are obvious to you, but there might be more.
Yep.
All right. So it comes down, zap, and they scream in pain. One of them does a dodgy roll to try and get out of the way, and is slightly burned for the effort, but not as badly as the others. All right. Then I guess Loki is next.
Yeah, Loki has to go right after me, so I have to plan 2 turns in a row.
Piloting multiple characters.
I got very used to that when dual boxing with Cypher.
Let's see. And my cat's getting into things. Stop that. Alright, using... he has just like a long bow right now. So he's gonna use 13 Blade to attack twice now. Oh no, it's a short bow. Roman, stop. So he makes 2 attacks against 2 different goblins.
Yep. All right. 2 of them drop with arrows in their chests.
Alright, good. He doesn't have to smite then.
I have a really quick solution to all of this.
And
That's
that's...
blasting a spell.
Yeah. That should be all he needs to do this turn.
Okay. It is Galvin's turn next here on round 1, and he looks back to you all in the cart. No, wait, not that. And he looks out to the group of the bogans and produces a very prodigious noise that echoes like a very large thunderclap that just echoes through the hills and the valleys here. And okay.
Whew.
Several of the creatures that were hitherto unseen scamper away, screaming, and many of the injured ones did as well. Though the one that seemingly rolled out of the way, and 2 of the others are standing in defiance of this very loud noise and are making very mean faces at you all. Okay, it is Celine's turn next.
Be right back.
So these goblins, are they all these goblins, are they all like close to each other ish?
There's a group of them that are, but you can see that there's some that well, you don't see how many are in the bush, but you can tell there's 2 different bushes from which one from each of these hidey spots had run out into the open to run away.
Well, I'm not going to kill any of the ones that are running away. I'm going to kill the ones that are still standing strong. And I think the way that I'm going to do that... Now I'm just trying to think of whether I decide to go, whether I decide to really, really go powerful on them, or if I go something a little less.
Well, it all depends. None of them have died yet.
That's the one that's like killed.
2 of them have died.
Oh. 2. Okay. So I don't think we need to go hammity ham.
2 of the original 6 have fallen over with arrows in their chests. Larg.
Yeah, and we just saw 4 more scatter.
Yes.
Sorry, 6 more scatter, because 2 of the original 6 have died. So for the ones standing taller, I said if they're relatively close together, I may let me see here. Trying to think of something that's not just stupidly.
Stupid dumb.
Look, my brain rot right now is saying cast whirlwind and be done with it. Just pick them up with a tornado and throw them around like ragdolls. But the logic in me is saying cast something else because all of my zone spells are large, like real, like high level.
Yeah.
A little bit of
That's
damage. Me and Loki can
that's
take
not-
them off.
Necessary.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's not necessary. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and target 2 of them that are close by with a toll the dead. So if I could get wisdom saves from 2 of them.
Okay, they both fail.
They're both taking 26 necrotic damage. Sorry.
Their bodies...
Sorry, 20 necrotic damage.
Okay, their bodies wither and shrivel before falling over.
Yeah. There's just the sound of a bell tolling, and then they just go... just fall over dead.
Bright?
They died from their wounds. That's all that happened.
Bright, then Mordecai.
Okay, I want to look over at our dwarven companion. Does he look appalled by all this behavior, or does he look more like he's in favor of it?
Well, he looked back to you all and he shouted what he shouted before turning and producing a really loud, like, thunderclap noise. But right now he's facing away from you all, like, with his arms outstretched as probably part of this spell.
Oops. I did not mean to do that.
Roll on the wild magic table.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't think we should. I don't think we have to kill them. They're just goblins. They keep them as pets. There's no need to blow them all up. I'm gonna cast a force cube. I'm gonna use my force cube, and I'm gonna lock the other wagons in.
I only hit the ones that were still like standing tall and were still ready to attack. I didn't hit any of the ones that are running.
Is
They
there
were frightened
a
off.
save or anything on my part?
No.
Probably. Let me see if I can bring it up here.
I don't think there is.
20, cooperate with me. Here it is. Okay, I guess I can't do this with the force cube. I have to do it with my staff, which I can also use to cast Wall of Force. I have lots of ways to make Wall of Force. Because this one only surrounds me, and I don't want to surround me, I want to surround them. So I'm going to use my force cube, which is the actual spell. Or I mean my staff, which is the actual spell. And there you can see that.
All right.
so hopefully there should be at least 1 or 2 goblins in there.
Okay. Mordecai?
I still have Sanctuary up.
From what?
Well, when they were casting... Was anybody casting Mage Armor? Or no?
I did.
Like, that's...
Bright
in
had
that-
Mage
in
Armor
that
from
same-
before, but you haven't had a round yet.
Right.
This is round 1. So unless you had a
Okay.
reaction on a surprise round, quote unquote,
Hmm.
No,
then
because you were surprised and therefore cannot take reactions.
Okay, well...
Well, I
I
declared
would-
that I cast Mage Armor before initiative. Did that count?
Yeah, that was,
no, because it was a surprise attack. You did not get a round before we went into rounds.
Okay.
Cool beans. Noted. Then in that case... in that case, what am I doing? I am... as an action, I am going to cast Bane
Okay.
on the creatures, on the 2 creatures that were standing tall. I cast Bane on them.
Well, there were 3, and there's only 1 that's still standing.
yeah, because I murdered 2 of them. I murdered 2 of them with a Toll the Dead.
I'm not sure.
Do I
I'm sure you can
do I see a
hit
total
them
of
with
3?
spells. I'm not sure you can hit them with spells because they're in my force cube.
Oh. Well, then
And you
forget that then.
You can't normally.
If they're still in the force cube. Okay.
Hold on. Invisible wall of walls, horizontal vertical barrier, blah 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 blah. Each panel must be contiguous, quarter inch thick. Wall cuts through a creature's space. The creature's pushed to one side of the wall. Nothing can physically pass through the wall. So no, you can cast spells.
It's immune to all damage. It can't be dispelled by a dispel.
Yeah,
spells,
but-
because they have total cover because they're behind the wall that nothing can pass through. So.
Oh, if I technically can't see them because they're in full cover, then I can't dart them.
Well,
It's
you
invisible.
can see them. You can see them.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, if your spell has to. But
My
if your
spell
creatures you can
doesn't
see-
really.
Um,
Yeah, they roll a
I
charisma
was-
save.
I would
Yeah, it doesn't-
probably
it does
roll
not-
that works, but it's Patty's game, so it's up to him. I just wanted to raise the issue that the wall of force was there.
Yeah, so a wall of force does not provide concealment and therefore is not total cover. It's just damage can't go through there. But other spells would be able to go through there just fine, so long as they don't cause damage.
Oh,
Let's
then
roll
then
I mean,
I'm not doing that because if I
Alright.
can't hurt them, then
Mhm.
you know that's not going to do anything for me. But sure, Beacon of Hope. Why not? Because what else am I gonna do? I'm the healer,
Okay.
so that's my action.
Okay. Your what? How does your Beacon of Hope manifest?
It's almost like a soft green shimmer inside the radius.
Mhm. It
bolsters the mental fortitude of my companions, and so in that case, it kind of works in an inspiration kind of way, where he's pulled out his violin and started to play a bolstering song.
Okay, and it's
Going back to his
it's
bard
bringing
roots.
some relief and some focus to.
Relief and focus, and there's kind of a shimmering green aura in the radius that's both soothing and fortifying.
All right, so that fills up the cart here. That is now it's down to my goblin's turn.
Yeah, it's just a couple twinges of the plucking of the strings that is the casting of the spell, but he continues to play for the moment.
All right.
Mordecai cast Asylum, which is a joke that only you'll get, Maddie, but that's fine.
I'm sorry. I was rolling dice. I didn't hear what you said. What was that?
Mordecai's casting Asylum.
Oh, yes. Right. Although his is a lot more of a gentle effect. It's not as dramatic. The goblin that is in the force wall lunges forth, just like bunches up its muscles in its legs and goes to spring forward with a knife in its hand.
Ignore that.
Smacks hard into the force wall and just sort of like streaks down it and falls over, leaving kind of like like saliva streaking down the wall from where it impacted. The others are continuing to run away. There's none that have started to run that are turning back. Then we go back to the top of the initiative. Norlai, what are you doing?
They're all running?
Except the ones that can't.
I'm gonna hold my action to use Call Lightning again.
Okay.
The condition being if they still act aggressive.
Then you will call lightning on an aggressive one?
Yep.
Alright, Loki?
He is going to hold Eldritch Blast for the same condition.
Alright, it is Galvin's turn. He once more claps his hands together, and another thunderous noise fills the area, causing the goblins to continue to scream and run. And he stands and is looking around with a concerned look on his face. We go down to Celine.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold another Toll the Dead I'm gonna hold another Toll the Dead.
Okay.
If any of them attack those, that and another one within 5 feet of it will be getting targeted with the Toll the Dead. That's the trigger.
Right.
Yeah. So all the goblins have ran off except the one I caught.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll hop out of the cart and go over to the one I caught and see if he's, or she, could be a she, see if the goblin is cogent.
It is knocked out. It's like face down, knocked out. It didn't know really what your wall is or was. It went to lunge at you all and ended up just sort of critting its face into the side of this wall, and it knocked itself out. You can see that there's some blood mixed in with the drool that is smeared down the side of your wall.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Okay, I guess I'll turn off the force cube. Or the wall of force.
Okay.
And I'll try to prestidigitate some of the dirt off the goblin. And boy, you don't really look like much. You're not any bigger than me. And this one is hurt. We should help it. I say in general.
Mordecai?
Yeah.
It did just attack us.
Well, I know, but I mean, look how pitiful it is. We shouldn't just use it for target practice.
Right.
Well, that
I-
wasn't
I think
practice.
she's
That
right.
was.
No, we should.
She is right.
Okay.
We should tie it up and ask it why. I think.
I mean, I think they just. Is this what they do on principle? I mean, that's kind of what the stories are? Is like they jump out, they go booga booga, and that's got.
They shoot arrows at you, apparently.
Yeah, but I mean, look how pitiful. Look how pitiful it is. Just look at it. Look, it's pitiful. Oh,
It almost hit my brother. I point at the arrow in the crate.
well, it did hit me, but it's okay. I got better. Or I will after a good night's
They're
sleep.
trying to hurt us.
Possibly an hour and a sandwich. I mean, I know, but still.
What was
Look how
the
pitiful.
locals use for that? Sanger? Galvin, I'm saying that right? Sanger?
Hmm?
Galvin, what should we do with it? What do you do when you catch a gobbo?
Before he answers, Mordecai, is there anything you wanted to do on your turn?
Not particularly. But the one thing that Mordecai's probably going to do is simply walk up to where the force kitty, the force box is, and be
Was.
ready to, or was,
Yeah,
and
turn it off to clean up the gobbo.
oh yeah, and grab some rope from I guess the cart and tie this goblin's hands behind his back.
Okay. Alright. You tie up the goblin. Now, Bright. We finished the official turn here. Because the other goblins that are running are going to keep running. And the one that you have is, going to get tied up. It's unconscious. Galvin hops down and just goes, "Oh, what a mess. This won't be good at all."
Like,
I mean, what's wrong? I mean, they didn't hurt us much. I mean, I've got this little pinprick, and ow, and I'll have to
Yeah.
I'll have to mend my dress in the morning, but it's not so bad. And I mean, probably we killed more of them than we had to, but
Well,
I can fix your dress.
don't get me wrong. We've had skirmishes with them before. They can be deadly buggers, but this especially with all the ones that ran off after. Oh, this might cause a reprisal.
a reprisal of what?
reprisal. That doesn't sound good.
They're
Reprisal.
gonna go back and tell the others what happened. This
I mean, isn't that good? I mean, they all got blown up, so if they tell the others what happened, then
it would be good if they actually had some sense among them, but usually, not all the time. Usually, what happens though is that this means that we should be expecting a larger wave of them later. And honestly, I don't know if that means that they're going to track the cart, or if they're just going to descend on Breezebane. I mean, hopefully, between them all, they might actually have some sense and not come back, but, oh, what a mess. The fact that they were just so brazen to attack at all, it shows that maybe there's something going on. Got them agitated. Got them, kind of desperate for something like this. Again, attacks happen.
A lot of stuff has happened.
They're almost like not quite like a wild animal, but yeah, it's oh, what a pickle.
Huh. I mean, what? They don't seem that threatening. Why are you so worried about them?
Let's see, Celine, I believe you had the highest passive perception. I'm holding your question real quick, right as you're asking.
Yeah, I understand.
Oh, just as a note.
Yes, with my 32.
Since Bright, I forget I have this ability. Since Bright was the only one who was hurt, Mordecai would have used his Keeper of Souls ability to heal her.
Oh, that's
as a result of the goblins that have died.
Okay.
How much healing?
I don't know how much it would hurt her, but it says equal to the enemy's number of hit dice.
You would have been able to trigger it 3 times. So.
Because it doesn't say that I can do it, that it takes a reaction or anything like that. It just, if a creature dies, yep, that I can see.
And you can only do it once per round.
Once per turn, yeah.
Is it? I think they're 1 hit die. I think they're 1. They might be 2. I could let, but I think they're
1. Bright, as this happens, as Mordecai is guiding the departing life energy from the goblins into you, you have some flashes of thoughts that are not your own. Just visions, quick flashing scenes. And to see what you can glean from them, make an investigation check to see how much you can pull of these flashes, as the life essence of the goblins is given to you, and your own unique self is processing this.
Should that be maybe an insight?
No, because this is not emotional. This is just what you can glean from looking at an image real quick.
Okay, investigation it is. 9. I don't like that. I want to roll it again. 10.
All right. Well, 10 is better than 9. You catch from the ones that quickly just boop, 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 boop in front of you. The one that stands out is it looks like you were hiding behind a bush and you could see yourself in the cart. And the last thing that you remember from this vision was seeing hands that were not your own, kind of a grayish green, reach out in front and pull back a bow. And that is the quick flash that you see.
It's kind of weird. I feel a little inside out right now. I don't feel good. That was a weird spell that you did, Mordecai. That was a weird one. That feels weird. I bet Celine would enjoy it more than I do.
It wasn't really a spell. I was just attempting to guide the souls.
Where did you guide them to?
Well, originally intended to send them back to the land, but I guess the land gave them to you?
Well, how about that? It's all kind of weird. How much healing do I get? What is it, 3 hit points?
That's Maddie's call, because I don't know how many hit dice they have.
Oh.
It's based on the number of hit dice. it doesn't say HP, it says hit dice, so I don't know.
There you go. You get 21 back.
Oh, it's a lot of hit dice. Okay, good. I didn't take that much damage. Well, I feel better, but I also feel weirder. It's kind of a mixed bag. Let's only use this in emergencies. Man. It's a totally different kind of seeing the other side of things than I'm used to. And I already get enough of that.
Celine, while this exchange is going on between Mordecai and Bright, and we have Norlai and Loki who are sort of like on guard. They're watching, making sure that there's no other goblins who are coming back, since they have some spells ready to go in case any of them pop out or show aggression. You hear from inside a crate a whimpering sound.
Celine kind of stops, freezes in place, and turns to the crate that made the whimpering sound, and slowly makes her way towards it.
Yep.
She's gonna kneel down and examine the crate.
Okay. I mean, you could. It's not locked. It's just meant to carry things in a convenient fashion. It's not nailed shut or particularly fastened.
Oh, okay. In which case, I'm gonna open it.
All right. Celine, we almost have a reverse of last night as you open the door to a dark room, and you are the one peeking in on Tig. As you see the plump little goblin kind of curled up and crying inside the crate.
Tig?
Why is Tig here?
Echoed in both Galvin's voice and Bright at the same time.
You're asking me, and I don't know.
Oh, gee. Tig, what
are
are
you doing here,
my...
kid?
Strike me now. Oh. Tig, why did you come along?
That'll be why, right?
And she whimpers something in a
Tig...
language that is like, I don't know, it's something.
Is Tig a spy?
I think it might be that because Tig was in here, the goblins were attracted. Maybe they have a really good sense of smell.
So
I mean, it wouldn't have to be that good.
Galvin asks Norlai and Loki to continue their lookout as he comes over and pulls Tig up by an arm and sets her down. And in so doing, in this display, especially because you have this other goblin that is tied up, they're both identified as goblins, but Tig looks very different than the one that you have tied up. The one, and really the ones whose bodies are there as well, let alone the one you have that is just knocked out. They're humanoid. I mean, they're small. They have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a head. But they don't. Their features are rather mixed. There's nothing that's a very pronounced indication of male or female. There's nothing really that is like they all have a kind of a sameness to them, whereas Tig is now that like in that moment where Galvin is holding this goblin up and then is setting her down, she's plump. It's not even like an emaciated, because the goblins that are there, like, yeah, they could probably use to eat more, but they're not like super scrawny, and they don't look like rabid and diseased or anything. But Tig does seem to be rather well fed. She has curves. She has very defined feminine features. And now that you're looking at it, even like the hair and other things on Tig is different. She actually appears a lot more like the dwarves do than a lot more like the goblins do. And so Galvin sets Tig down and it's just, I should have checked. Somehow I knew you'd be stowaway. I'm sorry, everyone.
Tig, why are you here?
Welcome, Raiders.
Can Tig
Hello.
understand this? Does she speak any of our languages?
She has shown, like, she can look in your all's direction when you're addressing her, but she has shown no recognition of a language that you speak. Galvin speaks up. She doesn't understand she doesn't understand your words, though I'm sure she can look at your face. She can only maybe speak the Dwarvish that we've taught her.
Does she know the goblin language?
She does, yeah. Oh, and to an extent
do you know
I do
the
too.
Goblin language?
Though I probably speak it with an horrendous accent.
No, you know what?
Well,
I know. I have
we're
a
all used to
solution to
that.
this. I have a solution to this. I'm just gonna make it so I can understand her and she can understand me.
Yes, just touch her.
Oh.
We can all understand her.
Well, that's good. I didn't have to use my wish for this.
Wish? Wow, alright.
I've wished for tongues before. I should just learn the spell if I'm going to keep casting it.
You
But
really-
fortunately, Mordecai took care of it.
I prepared it today.
Before that.
Alright, so you go over
Got it.
and how does your spell manifest? Is there a particular effect? Is it is there just something a change in some way for the material component? When you come up to this goblin, what are you saying or doing to cast tongues?
He touches his amulet of the devout and using it as the spellcasting focus. Mutters a word that he's vaguely familiar with the spell from an arcane perspective, and so kind of just imitates that because he had it as a bard spell, and then touches Tig, and just like a light little flash, and whatever she's saying we can understand, and whatever we're saying to her she can understand.
Okay. So right now, you all, I mean, you hear that she's sobbing, she's very upset and crying. That itself is not a language, but your spell does go off, and she's beside herself with either she's scared or sad or both, but she's not saying words right now.
And with that, Mordecai kind of kneels in front of her to get down to like her eye level, and kind of looks at her. Are you all right?
Make either an insight or a medicine roll.
I will go insight because that's what I know. 25.
All right. So you begin talking to her. Now, Noralai and Loki, as this discussion's taking place, the spell's being cast, you had been asked to be on guard. I mean, whether or not you are or your brother is, that's up to you and why I'm asking. Do you want to continue to be on guard and patrol the area, or stay in the cart and just sort of be a sentry turret looking out for other goblins? Or do you want to do something else?
Sentry turret.
Sentry turret? Okay.
My spell lasts for 10 minutes, so I'm just gonna keep holding that, and Loki will Eldritch Blast at the first sign of trouble.
Okay.
Maddie,
Yes.
can I make a medicine check, please?
Sure.
given that I've seen specimens of both them and the goblins, of both the goblins and the dwarves, and looking between Tig, I'd like to use medicine to deduce if Tig is actually fully goblin or whether she's actually a half-breed.
Okay. What would you as a half-elf know? Come on.
Oh yes, what would
You're lucky I'm generous and even allowing.
being a half-breed.
She knows what her elf parent looks like. She knows what her human parent looks like. I imagine her elven parent is very tan, much like Casimir.
Quite so.
Celine, in comparing, so you're doing this over the course of the conversation that Mordecai's going to lead. So this is like an overtime observation. You're going to be picking up that she's not a I guess a true half-breed. Like, there are traits that are dwarven. There are traits of what, if you want to call this other goblin you have tied up a like an original or like a constant or something. For a specimen. But you're getting the sense that this is it's a natural, almost a chameleon-like response. I mean, I don't know if chameleons as a lizard exist, but the concept here is that it would be a non-magical
camouflage.
A non-magical bodily change.
Yeah, a non-magical camouflage, basically to fit in better.
Well, and especially, and the camouflage does play in too, because the one that you have that's knocked out, and the ones that are, well, the ones that are dead are changing color. The one that's knocked out is still kind of a gray-green, and then you have Tig, who's more of a green-yellow, which is a lot more like the grasses in the fields back in town than the type of bushland that you're in right now, which has more of the stones and the greens for the gray-green.
And Celine is making notes of this.
What would this be? Give me an Arcana, also, Celine.
I could do those delicious Arcanas.
Okay. There's something else that it's bothering you. It is on the edge of your mental vision, where there's a piece that you know is missing, but you don't know what it is. But there's something else to this examination that it's there, but it's not there for you. All right, and then we'll, meanwhile, 2 inches away, but having a conversation instead of just looking her over. Mordecai, you have, and just like gobs of snot are coming down from her nose, and her nose is, it's a little squatter, pudgier, like the dwarves, not more elongated like the wild specimens that you have here.
He's gonna take out a handkerchief and kind of give it to her to wipe her tears and blow her nose if she needs to.
Okay. Yeah, it's just and makes just quite a mess. And it's goopy. Like, it is just saturated. Wait a minute, and she opens an eye. Oh, I can understand you.
Yeah.
Why did I die?
No.
That was
Not at
really
all.
scary. Galvin, why did you make the noise? And Galvin is kind of. That's curious. Well, I made the noise because we are under attack. And, also, you shouldn't be here. And also, why are you... Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I just wanted to go along. I really like to see the others. They were so new and strange and different. Especially, there was the fat girl like me, and she was really pretty. I wanted to be more like her.
Celine just kind of stops. Like, this is during her observation. She stops. Again with the fat jokes. Again,
You're not.
with the fat jokes.
You're not fat, Celine.
No, I know
What a
I'm
healthy
not.
weight.
She like half snaps. She's like, I know I'm not. That's not Mordecai would feel that that's not directed at anyone. It's just her generally venting being like, I know I'm not fat. But everyone keeps saying it,
Celine?
and it's getting irritating.
Celine, I'm gonna call for an investigation right now. Okay.
I'm rolling well.
You are welcome to rant about this.
That's the end of what she's just like, I know I'm not fat.
But Tig, you
Okay,
know
so
it's not safe out here.
Here's the thing. We have a story that tells the history of all the races of Mesomasca, and these little fellows aren't part of it. So, Celine, once you're done obsessing over your body image, why not check to see if she's actually really a gnome or a halfling? Because that seems like the sort of thing you'd be able to do, and I probably couldn't.
Wait. Yes, I could do that. Just so goddamn. Fine. Yes,
no,
I'll do that.
I think I understand what you're saying, says Galvin. You don't need to check. This is really your first time encountering these bogans here.
Sure is.
They're they kind of take on the traits of others who are around them. I don't really know how to explain it. She lives with us, and so she's really taken on more of our own traits. So she's gonna look a lot more like the others, like Emmy or Moxie. You've probably noticed that she's gotten. He goes on to point out various features that this goblin has that makes her a lot more like a fully formed dwarf than these samples that you have laying in the grass. So then he said, yeah. So that's more or less what you'd find them as if they're just amongst each other. Just coming right out the bush. They'll kind of take on the traits of the people that they live with. I don't know why. It might be a defensive feature. It might be a way to try and blend in with a community. I don't really know much about what they do out in the hills themselves, but for whatever reason, Tig really glommed onto us, and so she's kind of, she's developed as she did. These ones here, though, not quite so much.
So who do they live with?
Changelings? I've read about something similar in a book. A particular kind of creature called a changeling that does something similar. I don't know whether this is that, but
I don't know so much about that, but they do change. There's certain dimensions, certain things that they really can't do. But some basic color shifting, various physical traits is very topical things that they can end up changing up. And
so who do these live with? The wild ones.
They live with each other, as far as I know.
Yeah, so whose traits do they adopt?
I think that's just what they look like when they're in the wild. Just sort of more, maybe more like the trees that they live in, kind of a greeny, kind of scrawny from the brush and everything. If they have a truly original shape, I can't say that I've really noticed it. Not that I try and go out hunting them, or dare say living amongst them.
Yeah, this strike me as this some kind of. It's a shame I don't have that book on me. Otherwise, I'd be able to better look it up and.
I wanted to see you all, and I wanted to go.
And Mordecai just kind of hugs her, like, gently. Just let her cry.
Mm-hmm.
Look, kid, it's not safe out here.
I didn't expect the loud noises.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The loud noises were rather loud. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, that's
Galvin?
what we used to scare him off. We try not to do anything too physical, because again, reprisal.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't seem very threatening if you can just scare them away with a big noise.
They really
I can
aren't.
teach you how to make those big noises. I mean, you already know how to do it. How many people in your town know how to make those noises? I could teach more people.
Well, you see, not too many. I guess I have a certain set of gifts that, well, make me predisposed to, be the type of person who does this, more often than not. Nothing against the others in town. Brisbane's a wonderful town, but, not too many of us, have particular, abilities.
You're a little more magically adept.
Yeah, you could say that.
Norlai, you do similar things. With thunder
What?
and lightning, right?
Yeah. What do you ask?
Just pointing it out.
Oh.
But, alright, as wonderful as this is, I don't want to sit here and possibly let them regather and surround us. You can cry, you can mourn. Frankly, I don't know what you want to do with that one. And he points a stubby finger down to the tied-up goblin. If you feel particularly compelled to dig a grave for the ones that, well, that are laid out, you have, you have 5 minutes before we go.
Yeah, I'll dig some graves. I can do it pretty quick. So,
I don't know that we should assume what they would want to have done with them. I think we should lay them out respectfully and have the others come and get them if they want them. It would seem more appropriate.
I mean, do we know how they do it? Do they have a ritual or a cultural thing that matters to them?
Is there something, Tig?
Oh, I don't know. It's been... I really... I've been with...
It's been a long time.
I've been with the dwarves more than I've been with my people. I don't know. I was really young when I was found, and I was... I guess just do what you want. I'm sorry. I messed everything up.
You've done nothing to mess anything up. You're just here. There's nothing messed up here.
If I can help...
Except for...
Tig will help if she can help. Do you want me to dig? Tig can dig.
No, it's okay. I'm a really good digger. I'll do some digging.
Oh, all right.
Dig. Or
leave some
more to the
markers in
point,
case...
I'll magically
so that
dig.
they
Yeah,
can
you
be
guys
found.
can make some markers if you need.
More like so that they can be found if somebody comes back looking for them.
All right. Well, you have a very hasty 5 minutes before Galvin wants to giddy up the mules and or the donkeys, and
It's gonna take Brian a total of maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's gonna take me about 30 seconds per grave, so yeah.
Depending on how shallow you want them, give or take.
I mean, it has to be respectful. They're not just gonna be covered with a thin layer.
6 feet at least. 6
Still.
feet.
Still, as long as the ground isn't too stony, it won't be that hard.
No, there is some, but for the area you're in right now and for the small bodies, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
So Tig calms down. She watches intently from the cart. Norlai, over this time, your spell will diminish, and then your time will be up. And so for the rest of you in the cart, I mean, you can help, you can talk, because the tongues that last for an hour, so you'll still have that for a bit. But Galvin is turned into a bit of a cranky mood, or at least an urgent one, where he's in a fight or flight. Like, he is looking around left and right. He is really on guard and wants to get things moving again. And he tells you that we can talk when we move, but I'd like to do that sooner than later. So the graves are dug. The bodies are placed in them, and if you wanted to make very simple markers of some kind, I suppose you can. There's stones, or you can, I don't know, make a little mound or something.
That seems like Mordecai's thing rather than mine. Although,
okay. Well, then we'll go back because Coffee had to step away.
Goblin?
And what's that?
What are we doing with the unconscious goblin?
I think we have to
Should we leave?
go.
I was gonna say, should we leave him here for his friends to find?
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
Maybe we can. I mean, I don't know if we can even leave them a note, but maybe we can wake him up and tell him that we're sorry that this happened and it was all a big misunderstanding, and we wish you hadn't attacked us, and please don't do it again, and we can all forget about it.
Did you want to wake up that goblin then?
I'd rather just leave him, let him be unconscious.
I would write that on a note if I could write in Goblin, but I don't know how to write in Goblin.
I don't think a lot of goblins know how to write in Goblin, so.
Well,
Goblin's right.
There's that. Well, maybe we can leave a sign, something like, we'll just stack the goblin weapons on top of their graves, and draw like a sad face in the dirt. I'll use my mold earth to make a sad face in the dirt next to all the weapons. Maybe he'll understand.
Okay, sure. You carve a sad face into the dirt. All right, if you're ready, pack up. Let's go. It's we've already lost time in this, and it's not going to get any lighter.
I mean, I think it is going to get later.
Lighter.
Lighter.
I think he said.
Yeah, that's what I said. Later.
Just sit down, please.
I can't. Oh my god, I can't.
I think we can also work in loitering into this pronunciation as well, somewhere in there as well. But yes, so you all get in, and the reins are cracked, and once more you're on the move. Leaving. All right, so you are leaving behind the unconscious tied up goblin, or you're bringing it with you?
No, we'll leave him behind, and we'll untie him too. We're not trying to be cruel.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. So you leave it behind, and proceed apace. So what we'll do. Hello, by the way, everyone who's rated in. Thank you very much. We have just resolved a goblin attack against a cart of adventurers. Not an uncommon thing, but at level 19. Interesting. What will be found out, I wonder. But what we'll do, everyone, since we've gone for about 2 hours, we're going to get up and take a quick break. So if you all can hang out, we have a nice custom screen for it, and like our opening, we have some original composed music. If you all can stick around just a little bit, we will return with the Chroma Company back on the road to go visit the king of the mountain who lives in the hills. There's reasons. And maybe find out a little bit more about what is going on here with this goblin attack. So, yep, we'll be back in just a little bit, everyone. See you soon for some more adventuring.